Coming up now on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, Tony Khan continues to hype up tonight's episode of Dynamite. Joey Janella gives an update on his contract status with AEW, and there are some funny stories going around about Randy Orton and Shane McMahon backstage at the Royal Rumble. I'm Gentleman Ian, and this is Spoiler-Free Wrestling. At Spoiler Free Wrestling, our goal is to give you all the wrestling news you want, but with none of the spoilers. We'll be going through all of the news-making headlines in the world of professional wrestling today, but we will omit any information which could potentially spoil future shows for you. If you appreciate this type of wrestling coverage, please subscribe, click the like button, and share this video with anyone who you think would appreciate it. The biggest news in the world of professional wrestling today concerns tonight's broadcast of AEW Dynamite. Now, Tony Khan has been doing the media rounds lately, and he has been hyping up this show, saying that it's going to satisfy a lot of fans. It certainly seems like he has an important show to present tonight. He spoke to Sports Illustrated in an article that was posted yesterday and talked about the new signing who is going to debut on Dynamite tonight in a Face of the Revolution qualifying match. Here is what Khan had to say. He said, "It's a huge signing for us. I have created some debate about what it means to open the forbidden door, and that's what we are going to do on this show. The fans are going to get a great night of wrestling, and I hope everyone is surprised and comes back for the matches this sets up. I'm continually looking to improve the roster and bring in new stars and create fresh matchups, and that's what you're going to see this Wednesday. We now have such a strong roster of wrestlers under contract that we can put fresh, exciting matches on Dynamite every Wednesday on TBS and Rampage every Friday on TNT." So Khan didn't just speak to Sports Illustrated, however. On today's episode of Busted Open Radio this morning, he also spoke about all the big things he has in store for tonight's episode. Khan said, "I'm going to try to satisfy a lot of fans tonight. I had a lot of thoughts over the weekend on what that means. I pivoted some plans in the last few days in a good way to make tonight's show even better." He also noted that tonight's new signing going to be announced is a major one for the company. But he also said that there's going to be some things on tonight's show that they haven't announced yet. He said, "There's also going to be some really exciting things on the show that have not been announced yet." But, of course, Tony Khan would not get specific. Like us, he did not want to give away any spoilers, and so he said, "I don't want to get too specific to say exactly what's going to happen, but it's going to be a great night for the fans. I promise there's definitely one surprise, and I think there will be some other really fun stuff along the way, too." So it's going to be a big night for AEW tonight. They are at the Jim Wheeland Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You might know that that actually was the venue for WrestleManias 4 and 5. So announced for Dynamite tonight is the Texas Death Match for the World Championship between Adam Hangman Page and Lance Archer. As previously mentioned, in a Face of the Revolution qualifying match, Isaiah Cassidy will take on the new signee. Also tonight, Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle are going to hold a meeting, and Maxwell Jacob Friedman is scheduled to appear. Now, on the show taped tonight, but airing on Rampage on Friday, Jurassic Express will defend the AEW World Tag Team titles against the Gun Club, Austin Gunn and Colt Gunn, and Hook is back in action. He'll take on Blake Lee, who is a student at the factory. That's all coming up tonight from Atlantic City. The television ratings are in for this week's edition of WWE Raw. Now, it should be noted, however, that Raw this week aired on the Sci-Fi Network due to the USA Network's coverage of the Winter Olympic Games. So the expectation is that the ratings would be down this week, and they were, although they weren't that bad, really. The show brought in an average of 1.39 million viewers and scored a 0.36 rating in the 18 to 19 demographic. Up on your screen right now are all the ratings for WWE Raw this year so far. So you can see it is the lowest, but it wasn't ridiculously lower than some of the numbers that they've done. And up on your screen. Also, you'll see some of the numbers from SmackDown. You can see SmackDown is the most watched wrestling program in the United States. AEW Dynamite was also a little bit down last week as well. Joey Janella was on a podcast from Barstool Sports recently, and he gave an update on his contractual situation with All Elite Wrestling. Now, there have been comments from Tony Khan that have been out there saying that they are going to let some contracts run out and not be renewed. They've brought in a lot of new names to the roster over the last couple of years. So some of the people that signed 3-year deals in 2019, those contracts are coming up due now. One of those people is Joey Janella, and some have speculated that Joey Janela's contract with AEW might not be renewed. Janella addressed this while on the Wrestling podcast from Barstool Sports, and he said, 4:30, my contract is up, April 30th. I don't know what the F is going on. But then asked by the host if he thinks that his contract will be renewed, he said, I think it will. If it doesn't, I look like an effing idiot right now. Janella also addressed the World on GCW pay-per-view having problems with timing issues and how they had to rush some of the main matches on the show so that they were off the air at 11. Most notably, the Briscoes versus Matt Tremont and Nick Gage was cut to under 6 minutes because of timing issues they had on the show. So here is what Janella had to say about that. He said, I don't think the show was timed correctly. I don't think they added in the time for the video packages and stuff. We had to be off at 11, and that's been the problem when people first start doing the pay-per-view thing. Barely legal, all in, it's just a part of history now. We are just in that realm of rushing to the finish line. So Barely Legal, ECW's first pay-per-view, they ran into similar problems, and a match between Terry Funk and Raven had to be real quick. And then at All In, they ran into some timing problems as well, which led to a shorter main event than they had planned for. So Joey Janella saying GCW is just in the same boat with those two companies. NXT UK wrestler Candy Floss posted to social media today that her contract with WWE has run out and she is now a free agent. She posted a statement on what has been going on with her since she signed with the company, and she wrote, in May 2019, I lost my mom to cancer. Then in January 2020, I signed with NXT UK. Unfortunately, my dream career with WWE got put on hold when, during the pandemic, I was diagnosed with severe PTSD and anxiety because of the trauma I experienced witnessing my favorite person, my mom, fight for her life. I decided I needed to put my mental health first, and WWE couldn't have been more supportive. In December 2021, my contract with WWE expired. It is very sad for me, as I wish my journey with WWE didn't have to end like this, as I've worked so hard to get signed. I just want to say thank you to WWE for dealing with me so well, as I know it's not an easy situation. I'm very grateful for it all. She also posted about fighting for her mental health. She said, from fighting in the ring nearly every day, I found myself being in the biggest fight with my mental health. On a positive note, I am doing so much better. My dream isn't over. Life just decided to be very unfair, not so sweet, towards me. Hopefully I will be back in the ring again sometime soon and hurt my 90-year-old back again. She's not 90. She is 22 years old, so she's got her entire wrestling career in front of her. She also wrote, thank you to everybody for supporting me. There is one story making headlines in the world of professional wrestling today concerning what went on backstage at the Royal Rumble between Randy Orton and Shane McMahon. So this is a post from a Reddit thread stating that in an update, Fightful Select has clarified that Orton was supposed to be the number 28 entrant into the Royal Rumble. If you remember, Randy Orton came out at number 29. So he was ready to walk through the curtain when Shane McMahon's music hit. So there's been a screw up here. Randy Orton, he's supposed to enter in at number 28, except for they play Shane McMahon's music. So a shocked Shane headed towards the curtain and expressed his displeasure when Orton sent him a quote-unquote verbal cue that he would not be going out. So a previous story or a previous update regarding this story says that Randy Orton basically told Shane that he has to get out there because he's not coming out to "Here Comes the Money." So in this update, Randy Orton sends Shane McMahon a verbal cue that he would not be going out, so Shane needs to get out there and enter in at number 28. Word now is that the verbal cue was Orton immediately bursting into laughter at the error, to the point where he fell on the ground laughing at the situation. Literally rolling on the floor, laughing his ass off. So all that happened there was Randy Orton was supposed to enter in at number 28. He entered in at number 29 instead, and Shane McMahon was number 28. So it sounds like things were just ridiculous for a bunch of reasons backstage at the Royal Rumble this year. But that's the last news update for today. It's actually kind of a slow news day. Most of the headlines are centering around speculation as to who AEW's new signing is and just what is in store for tonight's Dynamite. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, click the like button, and share this video with anyone who you feel would appreciate this type of wrestling coverage. I'm Gentleman Ian for Spoiler Free Wrestling.